Did you realize your parents' tough love was actually just trauma? My dad had this one rule: you don't leave the dinner table until your plate is clean. He called it building character. I called it torture. I was a picky kid, and our house was the final stop for every weird, canned vegetable from the discount grocery store. Nights at our dinner table were a battle of wills. Me, a 7-year-old, staring down a plate of cold, lumpy mashed potatoes and gray-looking peas. Him, sitting in his armchair in the living room, watching TV, completely unmoving on his rule. He'd say, "There are starving kids who would love to eat that." The clock on the wall would tick, each sound echoing in the silent dining room. My mom would quietly clean up around me, giving me sad looks, but she never challenged him. I remember one night so clearly. We had liver and onions. The smell alone made my stomach turn. I took one bite and immediately felt sick. I pushed the plate away, tears welling up in my eyes. "I can't," I whispered. My dad didn't even look away from his newspaper. "You'll sit there until you can," he said, and I did. I sat there for 3 hours. The liver got cold and rubbery. The onions were slimy. My older brother finished his homework, watched his shows, and went to bed. The house grew dark and quiet. I eventually fell asleep with my head on the table, and my mom carried me to bed. The next morning, the same plate of liver and onions was waiting for me at breakfast. That was his version of tough love. It was about discipline, about not being wasteful, about appreciating what you have. Fast forward 20 years. I'm at my parents' house for a visit with my own 5-year-old daughter, Lily. My mom made a big Sunday dinner. Lily, who was even pickier than I was, ate her chicken nuggets but refused to touch her green beans. After a few bites, she announced, "All done, Grandma," and started to wiggle out of her chair. I felt a familiar tension in the room. I braced myself for my dad to say something, to start the cycle all over again with his own grandchild. But I just smiled and said, "Okay, sweetie, you can go play." I watched my dad out of the corner of my eye. He didn't say a word. He just stood up, took Lily's plate, scraped the uneaten green beans and half-eaten nuggets into a small plastic container, and quietly put it in the fridge. I was shocked by his silence. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs for a glass of water around 2 a.m. The house was completely dark, but I heard a small noise coming from the kitchen, a soft, rhythmic scraping sound. When I peeked around the corner, the refrigerator light cast a faint glow on the kitchen table. My dad was sitting there in the dark with a little plastic container. He was slowly, methodically, eating Lily's cold, leftover green beans and chewed up chicken nuggets with a fork. He wasn't looking at anything. He was just eating. I stood there, hidden in the shadows, my heart pounding in my chest. He wasn't angry. He wasn't trying to make a point. He just looked empty. I quietly backed away and went upstairs. It was never about teaching me a lesson. It wasn't about building character. He wasn't being tough. He was just acting out a deep, sad thing inside of him. Something from his own childhood that was so broken, he made it my problem too. And watching him in the dark, I finally understood